Okay.
All right, so what are bats? So bats are mammals with forelimbs adapted as wings. Uh, Bats belong to a group called a Chippeteria. This means hand wings. So you can see in the photo below here that this bat, you can see its bones are adapted as, wings. So this is the only mammal capable of true and sustained flight. So very much like flying squirrels, flying squirrels um, can can glide, but they're not they're mammals, but they cannot sustain flight. So bats are actually the only mammal in the entire world can um, sustain flight. There are more than 1,000 species of bats in the world. Okay, so bats have been along for a very long time. They've been around for 50 million years. So, as you can see in this photo, that here's a bat and a fossil that people found, and here's what they look like around maybe 50 million years ago. But since then, they have adapted, so they've changed a little bit. All right, where do bats live? Roost sites. That's what their name for their home is called. So they live in caves, hollow trees, stumps, live trees, abandoned buildings, bridges. Um, they forage in waterways, roads, pipelines, forests, edges, clearings, beaches, some water sources. You're more likely to find them in your water because that's where mosquitoes and lots of insects are. So lakes, rivers, streams, bays, docks, swimming pools, etc. Um, there are many types of bats in the tropics. That's where they tend to thrive. So as you can see, like on the map here below, near the equator, is it's mostly hot down there. So as you can see, South Africa, I'm in South America. You can see an uprise in the bat population as it's red there. So yeah.
Also, I forgot to mention, if you have any questions, please feel free to type in the chat box as we're going through the presentation.
Okay. So bats of New Jersey. New Jersey is home to 9 species of bats. 6 species are year-round residents, and three species are migratory. So the year-round residents include the little brown bat, big brown bat, northern long-eared bat, Indiana bat, and the Indiana bat is a federal and state endangered species. So we need to help that bat population. Eastern small-footed bat, and the eastern pipistrelli, and the part-time residents, so the migratory, um, are the hooray bat, the red bat, and the silvered hair bat. So here's a photo of the little brown bat. As you can see, where it gets its name is it's very small. This is the big brown bat. The northern long-eared bat, has the very big ears. The Indiana bat, so this is the endangered species. We need to help them out. Eastern small-footed bat. So you can see it has very small feet. Eastern pipistrelli. And the life cycle of bats. In summer months, mothers live in nursery roosts. Babies are born in June or July, blind without fur. So as you can see in this photo below, this was a bat that was just born, and they do not have any fur on them, and they cannot fly. Mothers feed their babies with milk. The babies are able to fly and eat insects after 6 weeks. And in the early fall, bats begin to hibernate for the winter as there's no insects. And a fun fact about bats, some bats hibernate in caves through the cold winter months, and they can survive in freezing temperatures, even after they've been enclosed in some ice. So why are bats important? So all around the world, bats do a lot of good things for people. They eat a lot of insects that bite us, or eat our food crops. So bats are actually natural pesticides. So that's why we want them in our environment. So instead of going to the store and buying pesticides, the bats will control the insect population, reducing the bugs. They pollinate our food very much like bees do. So you can see in this photo, they go around to pollinate the food, and they spread seeds so new trees can grow. Okay.
So kind of relating to the last slide, another thing bats are really important to are farmers. And why does that affect us? Farmers, I mean, they create all the food that are in the supermarket, and supermarket is where you get your food. So bats are important to farmers because a single bat will eat about 600 insects a night. That's a lot of crops that they're technically pollinating, or not pollinating, but acts, as Ryan said, like a pesticide. A single colony can eat 1.3 billion insects a year. If bats were extinct, it would cost farmers about $22 billion a year. So that would lead to farmers to make cuts in other areas of food production. Without bats, farmers would have to buy pesticides to control insect population, as we said before, and that's even worse for the environment. So bats are technically like a natural pesticide. So now the leading threat to bats is white nose syndrome. It's a natural fungus that eats bats' wings when they're in hibernation. So bats don't really know that it's happening, so they can't really combat it. 90 to 100% of the population of a whole colony can be affected. So obviously it's very contagious. Over 7 million bats have been infected in the past 10 years. And the fungus thrives in a dark and cold environment. So that makes bats a perfect target. So the scientists have discovered that really the leading way to stop this is by kind of giving bats in their colonies blasts of low intensity UV lights. It would kill any fungus that are on or around the bats or in their habitat. Reason we haven't done this is because it's very expensive and it's impractical, and being that it would be really difficult to install a system in their habitat to give them these blasts of UV light. So other threats, while white nose is the leading threat, habitat destruction in general, so loss of historical roost sites, disturbance of the roost sites in caves, just kind of a lot of different factors are really destroying these habitats. And then the last thing is the general public has a negative attitude towards bats. I don't know, some people might think they're cute, some people might think they're not, but a lot of people just want them rid of, so that obviously doesn't help their cause.
Yeah, especially now since COVID-19 is happening. Everybody thinks that bats spread COVID-19. That's not the case. They're actually really good for the environment. As we mentioned before, like if we didn't have bats, it'd be $22 billion for farmers to pay for pest control and everything like that. And that's very harmful for the environment also. So bats are a key component, and a lot of people don't realize that. So bat houses. So bat houses are a perfect way to help bats who are in need of a safe place to live while protecting your yard from pesky night-flying insects. So they help with insect control, mosquito control, and pollinate, and they're pollinators also. So as Ryan mentioned before, so if you don't want as many mosquitoes as there are in your backyard right now, bat houses are a great way. So over 500 plant species rely on bats to pollinate their flowers, including some fruits that you have in your, that you eat currently. So they include mangoes, banana. Bats are attracted to backyards. So if you have a garden filled with flowers as well as herbs that bloom overnight, that's because insects will be around and bats will be eating them. So in colder climates such as the Northeast, so that's where we are right now, bats only use bat houses during the summer to roost and raise their young. So going to the previous slide. So as you can see over here are some bats that are like year-round residents and some part-time residents over here. So that's because bats also migrate. And the temperature inside a bat house should be roughly around 80 degrees to 100 degrees. So how do we maintain that? So as you can see, here's a small map of what color the bat houses should be. So as you can see, we're in this region over here. So it's around zone 1/zone 2. So for our bat houses that we made, so my volunteers and I made 4 bat houses for the Milburn Township and the Milburn Township Green Team. So we picked a dark brown color. But for example, if you're up in Canada or something like that, you would want a black/dark paint. So like a black bat house would do good over there because it's a lot colder up there. But if you're like down here by like zone 4, like over here, you're gonna want like a light/white paint because it's already hot over there and you don't want to have a black color or else it's gonna absorb more sunlight and it's gonna be a lot hotter in the bat house. So it's gonna reach over 100 degrees. So it just depends which region you're in. And then you pick the color of your bat house by this map. So we actually worked on bat houses in my backyard. As you can see, here are some pictures of my volunteers and I working on a couple of bat houses. So we did 4 bat houses, as I mentioned before. So here's, we lined it all up after we made the bat houses. We had to drill some stuff. And the final step of it was painting it. As I mentioned before, we did a dark brown color because we're in the northeast of the United States. And this is the perfect color for it because it's not, because in the northeast, there's not really too much sunlight. So whenever there is sunlight, you need to get the most of it with a dark/brown color. So it reaches around 80 to 100 degrees inside. So I made a video of us constructing the bat houses. So I'll start playing it. So I actually wanted to pause over here. So this is a really important part. So step 8, with your utility knife, you want to roughen up the landing plate. So the landing plate over here is where the bats land. So you want to make sure it's really roughed up, so they can get a better grip when they land. So so when you get to this step, if you're gonna make a bat house, you want to make sure you really roughen it up. Yeah, so as I mentioned before, there's the map again. I think this is a little more clear map. Dark areas, black, medium areas, dark or medium color, light areas, medium color, lightest area, white or light color. Okay. So I guess that's it. Again, if you have any questions, please type in the chat box. We'd be really happy to answer all of it. So we do actually have some questions. How long did it take to construct a bat house? So, as you can see in this constructing part, we didn't do the painting and also constructing it all in one day. So, for the construction of 4 bat houses took around 4 hours. You got to make sure you have everything with you, like all the materials I listed. You need to have your caulk gun, your caulk, your wood, everything like that. You need enough you need enough power in your screwdriver, everything like that. So, took us 4 hours to do that, and the painting part took us around 3 hours. So we came back on a separate day to do the painting, and we did around 4 quotes, because you want to make sure that the paint really seeps into the wood, because these are going to be up for a lot of years. So another question we have is, how expensive was it? So the bat houses, in total 4 bat houses, cost us around $300 something. And in order to raise the money, I actually set up a GoFundMe, and we raised up enough money to purchase the bat houses and purchase all the supplies and materials needed. Another question that we got is the paint toxic? No. Wait, as you can see, well, I'm not sure if you can see, but you don't paint inside the bat house. You only paint outside the bat house. If you were to paint inside the bat house, then it would be toxic. But if you're gonna paint outside, like that's where the sun gets absorbed, so that's not gonna be toxic. Any other questions? If there's no other questions, again, as I said before, you can type it in the chat. But if there's no other questions, thank you everybody for joining my presentation today. Next week, we have a presentation on, there is one more question. Where is the best place to put a bat house? So as we mentioned before, bats really like to have a water source. So it has to be around 1,000 feet away from a water source. You don't want to really put it on a tree, because there's a lot of predators that can climb up on a tree. So they like it on a freestanding pole. So the freestanding pole should be around 11 feet tall. So just a little taller than a basketball hoop. And also you can put it on the side of your garage also. So what did I do with my bat houses also? So we actually went to the township committee meeting, and I actually presented my bat houses to the Milburn Township, and the Department of Public Works has took in the bat houses, and they'll be hanging it up soon. And I don't know the exact locations yet, but they can be found on the Milburn Township Green Team once it's up. Any other questions? Okay. So thank you for joining in today. Again, as I said, we have a presentation next week. You can find the Zoom link on the patch link that I'm sure everybody knows about. So I'd like to thank Mr. Cannon and all my volunteers that helped me with my project. Without you guys, it wouldn't have happened. So again, Ryan Cannon, Nikki Srirache, they helped me with this presentation today. So thank you very much. Feel free to stick around for further questions, but you guys are all free to go. Thank you.